American Nightmare has arrived. The son of a dream looking to realize his destiny in WWE. Multiple tag team and intercontinental championship reigns during his first run here in WWE. But now that the prodigal son has returned, Cody Rhodes has reached main event status.
Konnichiwa, minasan. I'm Great Oka Unite Empire. 今日は試合があった。そして彼がエンパイアの応援してくれるってよ。みんなブローキンテーブルポッドキャストよろしく。
I hear the battle cry under the devil's sky. The one-winged angel screams. It fuels my hopes and dreams. The best
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with my co-host, King Rome, the reigning, defending Broken Predictions champion. How you doing tonight, sir?
I don't know if that picked up, but I'm doing great.
For some reason it doesn't. I'll have to figure out why that doesn't pick up on there, but we'll get it to pick up.
It could be because we messed with the filtering when we were doing the watch-alongs. Could be.
Yeah. Well, cracking the can of the old liquid death there. I still got my last can up here. I'm not ready to drink it yet. But welcome everybody to our AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts review from Boston, Massachusetts. Amazing crowd tonight. This crowd was like absolutely rabid, bloodthirsty all freaking night. Absolutely loved it. Dude, this was a really good episode of Dynamite. And, you know, Ed said it in the Discord that I say that a lot, but, like, this was a really good episode of Dynamite.
So, I don't know if I would say, that, like, on a personal level, it was definitely one of my favorite episodes of Dynamite ever.
Right?
I really love this show. I have one issue with the show, and that is literally it. I thought everything else tonight was absolutely incredible. Super well done.
All right, I'm interested to see what the one thing was that you had a problem with here. Let's say what's up to everybody in chat. We got the Doge, we got Coach Nick, we got the Coog, and Michael Duke. Welcome, everybody. Michael says, welcome to the show, and here's your hosts, the best tag team partners in the world, Jeffrey Vegas and King Rome. Let's go.
Jeff, can you raise my camera up a little bit? Because in the YouTube cutoff, I'm a little bit...
That would be on your end. I can't raise it up for you, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's weird that it's like that.
Here, let me see how much I can, if I can.
Damn, look at that. I think that's better now.
There you go. Yep. There you go. Perfect. All right. Well, welcome to the show here, you guys. They started off with Jack Perry, Hollywood Jack Perry, dragging a body through the desert wearing Jungle Boy's boots. So, you know, we're simulating Jack Perry here burying Jungle Boy, which I thought was absolutely tremendous to start this off. I really, really liked that. And Jack comes out to Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. And I was checking out Twitter while it was going on, and there was a huge 50-50 reaction on whether people liked this as his music or whether people were like, what is this? And obviously, most of the people that were like, "What is this?" have never heard Beethoven in their lives. But what did you think? Did you think this fit Jungle Boy at all?
So here's the thing, and I don't count this as the one thing I didn't like because I'm undecided on it, but I'm leaning towards I just feel like they should have done something different. I've obviously heard Beethoven before and Symphony Number 5, and it's great. It's obviously a wonderful piece of composed music. I have no issue with it. I just don't know if it fits Hollywood Jack Perry. I know he's not actually Hollywood. I know he's just Jack Perry. But I just don't know if that song matches with what I think Jack's going for, which what Jack's going for right now is absolutely incredible. It's really good. I love the opening video with him burying Jungle Boy in the desert, which, whenever he does eventually go back to Jungle Boy, it's going to be really funny. It's going to cut to him in the desert digging up the boots. That's going to be really cool. But
Yeah.
like I loved his look. I loved the video. I loved the way he worked the match. Like this felt a lot more natural for Jack,
Yes.
and it was definitely a huge like I think that he is really gonna soar in this new direction. But the one thing about it is just I just don't know if Symphony Number 5 is what I would have done. I would have done something a little bit more edgy, a little bit more like the dude's coming out in a leather jacket and leather pants. Like I don't know if like Claudio coming out to some classical music makes sense because even though he's in the BCC, he's kind of like the Swiss gentleman type guy. Like okay, that makes sense. Danielson, same thing. He's like, he's a wrestler's wrestler. You know what I mean? Like it makes
Yeah.
sense, classy stuff. I just don't know if it works for this Jack Perry character they're doing. So I mean, I'm not out on it. I just need to see it. Like, ask me like a month from now how I feel
Okay.
and I'll have a better grasp of it. Right now, I'm leaning towards I wish they would have done something a little bit different. I mean, you got Mikey Ruckus in the back, just churning out bangers. Like I don't know, I would have asked Mikey Ruckus to make something, but that's just
Yeah. And I'm fairly certain that that song is like public domain at this point. So like, it's a very odd choice. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it for this episode, but I'm interested to see if they go the route of changing it each episode for him, in the future here,
I don't know. I
with a
don't like
different
that.
type of, maybe a different Beethoven song each time would be kind of, I don't know, but I'm kind of on the side of not liking it at the moment. I did not entirely enjoy it, but it didn't ruin anything for me at all. I was just kind of like, huh?
No,
You
for
know?
sure. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I'm left kind of like, okay, well let's see how it hits like a few weeks from now. But I mean, the first like I don't know, like I think even I saw the Mad Men podcast, like they tweeted out like we fixed it and it was like a video with like kind of like a guitar riff instead of Beethoven and I was like, yeah, this is a lot better and it probably took them like 2 minutes to find something on the internet
Yeah.
and use. So I don't know. We'll see how it lands, but as of right now, I just don't know if it fits the character. But I mean, the character itself is incredible, so good.
Yeah. And this was a freaking awesome match for the FTW championship, Jack Perry versus Hook. I really enjoyed the match, at the beginning when Hook took the brawl over the barricade and they immediately went into the crowd and then they brawled back over the barricade again and Hook, he hits that Taz called it a super hook punch off the barricade. That was a really cool spot.
Mhm.
And then, man, that T-bone suplex off the apron to the outside. Twitter was going nuts on that move.
My God.
It was brutal looking.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was.
mean, compared to the Dominic Mysterio horrible match on NXT where he won that North American Championship for no reason, this match was freaking fantastic. Like, I loved this match.
Yeah, I was blown away with how good this match was. Like I'm a big Jack Perry fan and I'm a big Hook fan. This match exceeded my expectations for the match. I thought that these
100%.
guys
Yep.
absolutely crushed it. I was so into this match. And again, like for me, this episode of Dynamite is a 1, 2, 3 punch with a bunch of good stuff in the middle of why I think this is like one of my favorite Dynamites ever. Um, and we'll get into it obviously, but like yeah, this was like the first one where it's like, oh wow, this was really good and I really loved it. I think again, I think everything leading up to and after this match like the end of the match and post match, whatever, except for Beethoven. I just thought it was perfect. Like there was nothing that I would have done different. Perfect situation. So
Yeah, I agree. So Jungle Boy uses the FTW championship after the ref takes the old bump in the corner and is seemingly knocked out. Uses the FTW championship and absolutely nails Hook with it. And he pins him for the 1-2-3 and he gets the win. We have a new FTW champion. Like we've already stated, we thought this was a great match, and the biggest criticism that I'm seeing right now was that why wasn't it an FTW rules match? And I'm kind of like, that's a good question, and I didn't even think about it, but it doesn't bother me that it wasn't.
I would say the reason that they haven't gone there yet, Jeff, is because this is not the end of this.
I think that's a good way to put it. I think that's a very good prediction, I guess would be the word.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought this was excellent. Boston hot crowd tonight. They were really giving it to Jack, which was just incredible.
Yeah.
And
And the
again,
end
yeah,
of Hook's undefeated streak.
yeah, I was actually about to mention that, and it's kind of crazy that they didn't really touch on that more, because yeah, that was Hook's first loss in AEW in
Yeah,
his
Taz was
career.
devastated, you know.
Yeah, and that's another thing I loved about this is the continuity of the show and how things kept happening that led to other things later in the show. I'm a big fan of that.
Yes.
And so Taz was fucking miserable for the rest of the night because he
was
knows
absolutely.
because he knows that his title, the FTW championship that he created here in ECW in Philadelphia, that his son was carrying with pride, has been cheated and stolen away from his family bloodline, and Taz is pissed, and I love it.
When
I
you put
love
it
it
that
so
way, it's
like
so
that's
much
his
more
blood, man.
impactful when you put it like that.
The, I mean, I'm because I'm from I'm from here. Like I feel that FTW championship. I carry some pride with that. So it's
Yeah.
like, but like yeah, like that's why Taz is so furious and so miserable through the whole show, telling Shivani to shut up multiple times. He's he doesn't like Chompy comes out and he's like, what the like, I just want to go home. I'm
He was
not in
like,
the
"Don't
mood.
touch me." He was like, "Don't
Don't,
touch me, Choppy."
don't touch me, Chompy. But yeah, like that, and again, like that's just, and it's gonna lead to the next match between Jack and Hook, and can't wait. Just absolutely love it.
Same here. All right. Next up was Alex Marvez backstage, or he looked like he was like at a restaurant somewhere in a back hallway. I can't really tell what it was. Maybe like possibly looked like a what is it called? Outback Steakhouse. Freaking, I worked there for a while. And he sees Don Callis and Chris Jericho at a table, having some cuisine of some sort, sitting there eating. And they kind of see him, and Callis sends his bodyguard over to, block the camera, and that was the end of that one. What'd you think of that little Jericho segment there with Callis?
So I know that some people were like on Twitter groaning about Chris Jericho being on the show 3 times tonight.
Right.
Again, I enjoy continuity and them having these things kind of add up to mean something later. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Alex Marvez always makes me laugh. They don't use him enough because he's such a geek, but like in such an innocent way, where it's just like I'm out
Yeah, I
here
like
trying to
him.
I'm out here trying to get the scoops. Like I'm on the streets working the beat, man.
It feels like he's part of QTV.
Yeah,
They should
but
really add him to QTV. That'd be a good spot for him.
no, because Marvez is he's not a heel. So it's like it just let it like he's doing the babyface version of QTV where he's like, he's just
Yeah, I
like
got you.
I'm on the street getting the scoops. But so yeah, I thought this was good. I mean, again, it's building up to answer this question of is Jericho going to disband the JS? And it's a continuation from last week where we saw him. Well, he has the hat. Jake Hager gave him the hat back. And more happens.
Yeah, and for those who are, upset Jericho was on here 3 times, it's definitely getting towards the end of his career, and it's going to be one of those things where, like, you're going to miss it when it's gone, man. So, it's not like he was in 3 matches.
Yeah.
All right, next up was Adam Cole and Matt and MJF doing some more guy bonding night out, and they went to a Chinese restaurant. And did you catch the name of the restaurant? I didn't write it down. I wish I did.
Oh, no, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I didn't either. But this place is actually one of the only places that is open late at night in Boston near where a lot of the wrestling happens. And it turns out a lot of wrestlers go there. So there's autographs of wrestlers all over inside the restaurant when you walk in.
I think it was called Kowloon.
Kowloon?
I believe so.
I thought it started with a G, but it might have been Galloon or something like that. If anyone in the chat knows what it was called, please throw that into the chat for us. But this was great, man. They were sitting there, and they weren't sitting there yet. So Cole had to convince Max to come inside. He was like, "Get your ass in here." Max did not want to eat at a Chinese restaurant in Boston and be near the poors. But Cole forced him inside and sits him down for some extremely hot, whatever that, it looked like some boneless chicken or something. And they were dying. So they asked for some drinks. And, when your mouth is that hot, I guess you can't tell that it's alcohol. And it turned out that they were drinking straight alcohol. And they were both drunk, and I thought this was hilarious, man. I've enjoyed every single moment of everything Adam Cole and MJF so far.
So we're gonna over to the chat real quick. Talking about San Diego. Jeff, could you play the quick clip that I sent you last week?
Oh, that'll take me a second.
We're talking about San Diego. Yeah, no, go ahead. No, I know this is very spur of the moment, but
go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Sorry.
All right. You get the audio from it. You don't need the video. It is played.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Kowloon is what it was called. There we go. So you had it, Rome, but it was with a K. There we go. Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, Kowloon.
Yeah, that was a hilarious segment, and it led us into basically them two being extremely drunk and saying double clothesline to end the segment. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it. Next up, we had Alex Marvez again. Now, I had a small problem right here with how quickly Alex Marvez was basically outside the arena with a limo pulling up of Callis and Jericho, when just seconds ago he was catching them like in a restaurant having lunch or whatever.
So I would counter argue that the first segment could have been filmed earlier in the day.
Okay, and they could have said that. I might have missed it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I completely see that.
Yeah, so I would argue that it's like you could just say that like, hey, Marvez has been on the beat all day, and he got a tip that they were at this restaurant, and then now it's later in the day, and he got a scoop that they're arriving in the arena, which means that limo driver sold them out. He's like,
wow, yeah.
Marvez. He's just like, yo, yeah, we're about to pull up. I got Jericho and Callis in the car.
Okay.
No, I'm just being silly, but
no, you're good.
There's nothing to that. It's funny
to
think about that.
So Don and Chris both get out of the limo together, and Alex Marvez is like, "Has there been a decision?" And they kind of look at him like he's an idiot, because it obviously looks like there's been a decision. Mm-hmm. And they, they call him an idiot and call him a fat-headed idiot, and they walk off. And it definitely looks like Jericho is with them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it right now. Yeah.
But we still don't exactly know. It just kind of has the appearance at the moment. Next up, we had a really cool, unexpected, women's match for me. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, showed up and had a great match here against Kayla Sparks, even though it was just a quick, squash. But I always love seeing Britt Baker. She comes out, hits a nice sling blade. She hits a big old neck breaker to it. Lockjaw, tap, game over. This was a great squash, and Britt looked good. I haven't seen Britt in the ring for a while, and, it was what it was.
I hated this.
I had a feeling.
I was like, so I'm sitting there, right, and I'm watching AEW Dynamite in the middle of, like, one of my favorite episodes of all time. And they say, oh, Britt Baker is in action next. And I'm like, okay, well, this was not announced before the show. So I'm going to assume that this is some sort of storyline, and this is not a match that they're having just to have another match on the card. Surely there's going to be some sort of storyline implication here. I obviously did kind of speculate earlier today, not seriously, but kind of, it's plausible. Maybe Mercedes, with them being in Boston and Britt saying she wants to chase Mercedes next year and all these different little things. Again, I didn't think that it was something that was definitely going to happen, but I expected them to do something. And what they gave me was literally nothing. Britt hit 2 moves, did the lockjaw, and that was it. And I don't know if this was just like an attempt to shoehorn a women's match onto the card, or like I saw no value. And
I can definitely see that.
Like, this is the type of thing. Why was this not on Rampage? Why did you not tape this on Rampage? Like, because that's where I will give a pass to a squash match. Where, like, you want to, like, it's an hour of TV and you want to have 3 to 4 matches a week, and you want to, like, okay, so you need 2 minutes. You have an entrance, you have them hit their moves, you get the pop, that's it. I'm okay with that on Rampage. I'm not gonna give that a pass on Dynamite or Collision. I mean, like, bro, like just no. Like, it's just a no. And it's nothing against Britt, and it's not even anything against Kayla Sparks, because she's been on AEW TV before, and I like Kayla Sparks. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think she's got something. Definitely something where they should probably keep her in Ring of Honor or something, until they want to use her. But I was just like, what is the point of this? Like, we accomplished nothing. We've got nowhere with this.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that.
I was just like, give me something of substance, especially, again, when you're looking at this episode of Dynamite, and in my opinion, almost everything else, maybe not like single segments, but if you put all of the Jericho stuff together, I thought that was a home run. The MJF Adam Cole stuff, home run. The first match, home run. Blood and Guts, home run. You're giving me all these home runs, and then you send that out there. Like, I would rather you have like, if you need to kill like 2 minutes of commercial or 2 minutes of TV time, I would have rather Britt cut a promo. Like, just have Britt cut a promo backstage. I would rather that.
Yeah.
Don't waste my time with these stupid squash matches on Dynamite. I'm not okay.
Do you think it's possible that they had planned pretty far ahead, and this was supposed to be Britt and and Mercedes possibly having a confrontation, and since she's injured, we just kind of threw this together?
No. There's no way. There's no way that Tony Khan, like, I know we say TK is stubborn about things. There is no way that TK sat there a month out saying, like, oh, we're not going to get Mercedes in Boston. Let's pencil Britt Baker in for a 2-minute squash match a month from now. There's no way.
I mean, they had to have a women's match. It really felt like this was kind of like, okay, we need a women's match. Put this out there,
This is a hot take, and it's not that I want the women's division to do well. I do not want AEW to shoehorn women in just for the sake of saying you have a women's match on the card. Make it meaningful.
I agree.
Like, you have the talent to make it meaningful. But I understand that you didn't have the time tonight to do a women's match. I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, I can't believe there was no women's wrestling on Dynamite tonight. Obviously, I want there to be, but as long as they're doing meaningful work, it's just kind of the way AEW works, where they're cycling people through. Not everybody appears every week, and that's fine. I'm okay with
absolutely.
it. I really am. But you got to give me something of substance to sit here. I almost, I wrote, my notes for this was squash. Why? That's it. That's all I have. I have 2 words.
I wrote squash good, and then I wrote the 2 moves that Britt did. So yeah.
So yeah, this was terrible. This was absolutely terrible. Not to put the blame on who was involved in the match, because I like both Britt and Kayla Sparks. But yeah, no, this is a no. Do not throw a squash match on Dynamite. It's 2023. You have Collision, and this is my other point. You have Collision out here putting on all these dope ass matches. Like, there have been no, to my knowledge, right? There's been no squash matches on Collision, right? So, like,
yeah,
like, I'm sorry, but like, you're showing me that you don't need these matches anymore with Collision, and like, obviously you've been booking Dynamites for 4 years now. Put that on Rampage. Like, honestly, just switch something that you had on Rampage with that, there you go. Bam.
Yeah,
End of story.
completely agree.
No point to it.
All right, next up we had Renee Paquette backstage with MJF and Adam Cole. And Adam Cole, basically explains that they've caught lightning in a bottle since the moment they tagged up together. They cut an awesome promo together, Cole and MJF. And MJF says, "I got us some matching trunks." And Cole is like, "No way, I got us matching jackets." And dude, their gear looked absolutely freaking awesome here. And Adam Cole tells MJF he's got another surprise for him, and he'll have to wait to see. And dude, I absolutely love the jacket. The jacket was just like an Adam Cole jacket, but it had some of the Burberry print put into it, and it said "Better Than You, Baby" on it. Like, oh, those jackets were absolutely fucking awesome. And we got, what's that?
I was gonna say, shout out to MJF referring to Sammy Guevara's wife Ty Mello as your skank wife.
Oh, dude, that was crazy. Yeah.
And then Adam Cole says he has another surprise for MJF.
Yep. And so we get Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara make their way to the ring, and then we get MJF coming out to his music. And when he says cut my music," and he does the old point to the back, points at Adam Cole, MJF's music starts again, and he's like, whoa, you guys messed up. You played my music twice. But it turns out that it is a mashup of MJF and Adam Cole's songs, and it is done so incredibly well. I absolutely lost my shit, just like MJF did. Absolutely lost his shit on the ramp. This was so fucking awesome. I absolutely loved it. This is probably my favorite entrance in wrestling now. You know what I mean? I absolutely love their entrance.
So I also love this. I love this so much. And I mean, I'll speak more on it towards the end of the match, but a day is going to come when I'm going to be absolutely fucking devastated. Just absolutely crushed. My soul is going to be crushed into multiple pieces when this tag team inevitably disintegrates.
Yeah, me too. And I think most of us are going to be as well. This is, I think, like Cole said, this is definitely catching lightning in a bottle here. I don't think anybody thought this would go over as awesome as it is, but it's really, really good.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Here's what we got. Like, all you got to know. I mean, obviously, there's more to it, but to keep it as basic as you possible, these guys got a double clothesline over as fuck in a matter of weeks. The crowd is chanting double clothesline. It's a double clothesline. It is the most basic, generic tag team wrestling move you could possibly do. Like, the only other generic, it's like when you're playing a game, like Fight Forever, and you have, like, you make a tag team, but you put no effort into it. You just throw two guys together, and they're like one of the preset moves is a double clothesline.
Yeah.
And it's just like they just made it work.
Yeah.
Something else to mention is Chris Jericho does come out for this match.
Yep.
Jericho has a line to Taz that I absolutely love, where Taz is upset and Jericho says, "Jack Perry got your tongue, Taz."
Oof.
Taz was seething.
Oof.
I felt it.
Wow. So we start off with MJF and Garcia in the ring, and Garcia comes up and does his Spanish hip dance, and in the funniest 3 minutes of possibly my entire life, MJF does the dance back to Garcia and does it even better than he does. Garcia does it again. MJF does it again. And MJF jumps out of the ring. MJF looks at the crowd and screams "dance off" and starts getting the crowd to chant "dance off." He hops out of the ring and hits a button over on some sort of device at the timekeeper's table, and it starts some crazy disco dance music. and we get an actual dance off with Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara starting first. I was laughing so hard, Rome. I was literally crying. Like, I was actually like laughing and tears were pouring down my face. I could not stop laughing. Uh MJF gets in and dances as well, incredibly, by the way. Adam Cole gets in and does his best at dancing. Looks like he's about as good at dancing as I am. This was one of the best 3 minutes of my entire life of watching wrestling.
This was so stupid. But I loved it so much. And like, here's the thing, right? WWE fans can shut up. Don't care. AEW just went out there tonight and did sports entertainment better than the sports entertainment. I'm sorry, but like, not like, it was just so funny. It was just so well done in a sense that like it didn't feel forced. And like, that's the difference between this type of segment happening here and it happening over there. That's the difference. That like, this just felt natural. It felt like something that would believably, for some reason, fucking happen. And it did. And I loved it. I like Daniel Garcia diving through Sammy Guevara's legs. That was something that I didn't think I was going to see tonight, but yet I did.
Dude.
This was hilarious. This was amazing. And obviously you want to give kudos to Sammy and Garcia because it they're a part of it. But like, it just goes to show that like, this Adam Cole MJF storyline, everything they touch turns to gold. Look, I was gonna mention it towards the end of the match. I'm just gonna get to the point and say it. Like, okay, like, we know that the idea is eventually, like, MJF has to turn on Adam. Like, that's just the thing. That's just the way it is. But I really think Tony Khan needs to take a second, slow down. Sometimes in wrestling, you need to course correct. You need to just look at what you have, and sometimes you got to call an audible. Sometimes you're at the huddle and the QB sees the blitz coming and he's like, let's not do that. Unless you're Lamar Jackson, in which case you're kind of screwed. Or Dak Prescott, you know. But, sorry, coach. But, Tony Khan needs to call an audible. MJF and Adam Cole need to beat FTR on July 29th at Collision.
Absolutely.
I don't care. Like, here's the thing. Here's like the thing. And I was sitting there thinking about this after this match. How lame is it going to be when Collision comes around? Like, I was just like, this doesn't sound entertaining to me at all. When they have this title match and MJF turns on Adam Cole and FTR win because of that, I am not going to be entertained at that. I'm just gonna be like, this sucks. I'm not feeling the vibe here at all.
Right.
But
so
yeah.
There was a hilarious spot in this where MJF was like pretending to be concussed and trying to stay on his feet. It felt very much like a Triple H spot. I don't know if Triple H has ever done this before, but I don't know why it reminded me of something Triple H would do. But eventually he went to like put his hand out for the tag and he fell face first into Sammy Guevara's lower regions, I guess we would say. Was hilarious. Taz called it a small package. This was hilarious. We got a hot tag to Adam Cole. He calls for the double clothesline. Sammy reverses it into a double Spanish fly in a really cool spot there. Garcia comes in with the Dragon Slayer. Cole scrambles over to the ropes, and MJF fakes out like he's going to do his dive. But Adam Cole really hypes him up, and he sits on the ropes for him and holds the ropes open. He gets the crowd to really amp MJF up, and we get the first Tope Suicida dive ever from MJF in AEW wrestling. Now, I'm not sure that I'm correct on that, but I believe that was his first.
You are 100% correct. 4 years in the goddamn making for this spot.
Yes.
And this is again why, like, you can't break this team up. MJF for 4 years has done the thing where he runs the ropes, stops, does the Ric Flair strut, flips off the fans, does something like this, and he never does the dive. And Cole's like, "Come on, Max," and then he starts the dive chant with fans, and he does the dive. And was it a good dive? It was fine. But at the end of the day, that 4-year build of fans wanting to see MJF do a dive, they lost their minds. I lost my mind. I was like, he
Yeah.
really did this fucking dive. He really did it. Amazing.
Oh,
Incredible.
the Coog just absolutely nailed it in chat. He's like, MJF even finished the story of his dive spot before Cody finished his.
Yeah, he's been past go to collect his 200.
Oh, that's hilarious. So after the dive, Adam Cole hits a fantastic Panama Sunrise, setting up Garcia for the double clothesline. They finally hit the double clothesline, pick up the 1, 2, 3, and the crowd goes absolutely insane when they hit that double clothesline, man. Like
They
you
blew
said
the
earlier,
roof off the building.
they
Like,
put that move, yeah, that place exploded when they hit this double clothesline. This was great. So Adam Cole and MJF are the number 1 contenders for the tag team championships. This was freaking awesome. When they threw the belt in the ring for MJF, Adam Cole kind of held on to it just a little bit too long, making MJF extremely angry, which this is where I wish they did not do this part right here.
yeah, I was just
This
like,
is where I agree with you. The audible should have already been noticed, and they should not have teased this yet.
I mean, like, I understand in the moment needing to do the spot still because, like, this is the plan, like, the overarching plan, and that's how it works, where it's like, I understand they can't call the audible on this spot. But again, like, I'm sitting there watching this, and they do this spot, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, something that
no.
just occurred to me is Adam Cole, while he was apologizing, they hugged. Now, remember, every time MJF has tried to touch him, he's been like, "Don't touch me, Max." He hugged him.
Yeah.
So I just realized that might be a big deal too.
Yep. So as Sammy and Daniel Garcia are leaving the ring, they are like, "Hey man, we did our best." They're kind of consoling each other. They're walking up the ramp. Chris Jericho goes to console them. They both look at Jericho and then just kind of walk right past them. And Jericho, the look that they gave Jericho and the look on Jericho's face was all you need to know.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's just the ongoing storyline with the JAS. Like, are they going to break up? Are they not? I think it's leaning that Jericho will not break up the JAS. That's how I think. That's how I see it going. I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah, because what do you do with everybody? There's like 6 dudes.
It's not even a question of what you do. It's just a question of how you're setting up this storyline. It's just like, I don't know. It would be really weird for Jericho to just disband the group, and they're just kind of like, all right, well, all this heartache has no real payoff. So I don't know. I just don't see them doing it personally.
No, yeah, I agree. FTR shows up and has a confrontation with Adam Cole and MJF in the ring. They just kind of have a face-to-face. I thought they were going to get on the mic, but nobody wound up getting on the mic here. They just kind of had a face-off for a while, and that was that. I thought this was tremendous, man. Every single second of this MJF Adam Cole stuff has been great for me. Besides that little spot where he got angry with him, but it's okay. This has been absolute gold. And before we get to the next segment, I got to show you something here real quick that just popped up on the old Twitter for Jungle Boy, or the former Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. He now has a new World Heavyweight FTW champion in Rome. It really looks like they tried to use the alleyways of Philadelphia here.
Let's see.
And it even says Taz on the championship. I never noticed that till now.
Oh yeah, it says Taz on it.
Dude.
It's his belt. He said it's the original belt. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
All right. Next up, we had in my opinion, a little bit of an awkward segment here. I don't know why it felt weird to me. We had Darby Allin with Nick Wayne speaking to the best friends and Orange Cassidy. And dude, I gotta say, Orange Cassidy with his belt standing next to Chris Statlander with her belt looked absolutely incredible. Like that just, it looked awesome. But Darby Allin basically asks Orange Cassidy to give his friend AR Fox a shot at the championship. And I just immediately was kind of like, what? I was like, Nick Wayne is standing here for no reason. And we're talking about AR Fox, who is not here. I was just so confused. Like, did you feel like this at all? Or were you just kind of like, okay.
So I didn't have a problem with it. I was cool with the segment. I think that the point of this segment was to set up. Like, look, they didn't have a lot of time on this show. I feel like if this was a regular Dynamite, this segment would have been split into like 3 different segments. But again, with Blood and Guts taking up an hour of your 2-hour show, you kind of got to just fit in what you can. So I thought this was a really smart way to tie 3 different things in, because obviously it's best friends. So you have Statlander defending her title, you have Orange Cassidy and Darby setting up for the match with AR Fox, and then you have Darby and Wayne talking about the Royal Rampage on Rampage. So yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was I was impressed with how much it accomplished in the short amount of time it had, and it was entertaining. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, what's going on here? But I was okay with it because I love me some AR Fox. Can't wait to see him and Cassidy. So should be good. Next up is where we had the announced team speaking, and Chompy came out, the Shark Week shark mascot. And this is where Taz was like, Sharky or Chompy, do not touch me. He's like, I am not in the mood. This was hilarious. Now, do you think it was Nyla Rose again? Did anyone see it on Twitter by any chance? Because remember last time it was Nyla Rose.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was Nyla this time.
No? That'd have been cool. And then next up, we had an absolutely incredible video package, for Blood and Guts coming up next. And that video package was really, really cool. If you weren't ready for the match, that should have amped you up nicely. And next up, we had Blood and Guts, Claudio Castagnoli and Kenny Omega start the match. And was this the first time we had those two basically in a singles aspect for about 5 minutes?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Dude, this was so good, the 5 minutes we got of these two together. Claudio and Kenny just absolutely beat the bejesus out of each other. Who came in second? It looks like Pat came in second, came in and absolutely just murdered Kenny immediately.
Well, third.
What's that?
He came in third.
Okay, yeah, third. Yeah. I kind of considered Claudio like to start everything, and then Kenny, and then Pac. Pac absolutely destroys Kenny. Next in was Hangman. He came in and absolutely annihilated Pac. The next hits a huge moonsault onto Claudio. That was an awesome moonsault from Hangman there. Next up was Moxley coming in. I think Moxley was hanging out in catering before the match, and he stole all the forks he could find. He distributed forks amongst the Blackpool Combat Club, who everybody went stabby on each other. There was a couple screwdrivers mixed in there, I believe, as well.
Yep. You just came out stabbing everybody.
Dude, Mox just came in and it was just like, oh, okay, this is probably going to get bloody here soon. And it was just a stab fest from this point. Like, it was just wild. Nick Jackson made his way in next. It was a nice super kick party for everybody from Nick. Wheeler Yuta came in next with a chair, gave everybody some chair shots. This was during a break, I believe. Matt Jackson came in next, had an awesome sequence as he entered the ring. He hit a DDT onto Yuta onto that steel chair. That was pretty cool. Takeshita came in next, and man, at this point, we're all waiting for Ibushi. Kota Ibushi comes out and takes out Wheeler Yuta on the ramp. And Moxley pulls out a bed of nails. And this bed of nails looked really intimidating, didn't it? Like, it looked real. It didn't look worked. It just looked like a big bed of nails, you know?
So Nyla Rose tweeted, she said, "Where do you even get a bed of man?"
Mox is, I just had it in the old attic, you know?
Mox brings out this bed of nails. And like, look, like, because we were talking about in the Discord, and Mox previous to this or prior to this brings out a bucket filled with this broken glass, and it's obviously like kind of fake broken glass, not real broken glass. And we were just, I know that Ed was saying in the Discord, like, oh, they shouldn't use this stuff. The problem is that they needed something to start with so they could escalate, and that's why I'm cool with the broken glass, because when he brings out this bed of nails. He does a flip. He sets up on the turnbuckle, does the flip. Kenny gets hit on the arm. Kenny's freaking out in pain.
He sold that really well.
I mean, everybody that went on the bed of nails, which was Kenny and Mox, sold it. Even Coda sold it. Unless it really hurt. I'm sure it really hurt.
Oh, absolutely.
But so, it was just insane. So Mox is beating down Kenny. Mox is throwing Kenny onto the bed of nails. He has hands on the nail, and Coda comes out. Mox is standing there, smushing Kenny with his boot, smushing Kenny's hand into the nails, daring Kota Ibushi to come at him. And I was like, this is wild. This is absolutely insane. What followed, meanwhile, Matt Jackson and Wheeler Yuta are fighting on top of the cage. Yuta goes back down, but Matt's still up there. And I'm guessing that they stored this bag up there, because I didn't see Matt climb up there with it. But Matt begins to make it rain thumbtacks from the heavens above.
That was so cool.
When I say this is one of my favorite spots, pro wrestling, period. This is one of my favorite spots in pro wrestling, period. Raining thumbtacks.
Have you ever seen that before? I don't think I've ever seen the way that they purposely made it rain, like you're saying. It was so cool.
Yeah, it was such a great spot, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah. So Moxley body slams Kenny onto that bed of nails. Kenny's back was bleeding a little bit from it, so you know that had to hurt. Ibushi, I think he body slams Moxley onto the bed of nails as well, who sells the crap out of it. And, at this point, Moxley is bleeding freaking from everywhere. Pac and Claudio, after the thumbtacks go raining down, Pac and Claudio get back dropped over onto those thumbtacks. And that looked brutal, dude. You know me in thumbtack spots. Like, I was squirming in my seat again. And then we get this chant for "We Want Tables." So I'd like to thank the Boston crowd for the shout out to the podcast. Excellent. Thank you guys. And eventually a table makes its way in between the two rings in the middle of the blood and guts 2 rings there. And Pac climbs up to the top of the cage and he holds on and he kind of swings himself like off the monkey bars and does a double foot stomp through Matt Jackson. It was Matt Jackson, right? Or was it Nick? It was Nick. This double stomp through Nick through the table was absolutely incredible. Another one of my favorite spots ever in a match. This was getting absolutely brutal by this point. And then at one point here, Claudio and Pac kind of run into each other. Kenny kind of dives out of the corner and Claudio winds up hitting Pac with the uppercut. And Pac gets a little bit angry here and starts arguing with the entire Blackpool Combat Club. And Pac flips everybody off, gives everybody the old double fingers, and grabs a pair of bolt cutters, opens the door, and leaves. I was not expecting this. You know what I mean? I didn't expect Pac to turn on them or whatever you want to call that here. But Pac just gets up and leaves, and that lets the Golden Elite get the upper hand on the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club. And Don Callis, you know, seeing that it's now 5-on-4 and there's no way that they have a chance of winning, he calls Takeshita off and he pulls Takeshita out of the match as well. And it's nothing but the 3 Blackpool Combat Club members versus the entire Golden Elite. And they wind up absolutely annihilating everybody. They basically kill Wheeler Yuta and they handcuff John Moxley to the rope in between the 2 rings. And they wrap a chain around Wheeler Yuta's neck and start to choke him to death. And John Moxley surrenders the match to save Wheeler Yuta. This was absolutely phenomenal. This was an incredible blood and guts match. Absolutely loved every minute of this entire match. Loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got everything there at the end. I thought that it was I think it was a really smart finish the way they did it, because I think it makes a lot of sense for the BCC to kind of fall apart. I mean, I think that they're gonna do Mox versus Eddie. I think I would do that at All In. That's just me. But I think that Eddie's gonna come back from Japan and be like, "Yeah, dog, you trusted all these clowns who weren't even your friends instead of asking me to be on the." He's like, "We're like brothers." That's what I think they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But I think it's very believable. I mean, it was kind of low key played out throughout the match where Pac and Claudio weren't on the same page. There were little times where they were like kind of like bickering a little bit, it looked like. So I thought that was cool. I got this feeling in my gut that even though it's not announced yet for God knows whatever reason, it'll probably be Claudio versus Pac on Friday at Death Before Dishonor.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they'll do.
And Coog says that Pac spot where he came off the cage and did the double foot stomp through the table. If the Coog has never seen that before and he watches as much lucha as he does, I'm wondering if that was a completely original move, because that was unbelievable. I fucking loved that.
I mean, I've seen some X Division stuff before in TNA where they used to have that I forget what it's called. I think it's like, I don't even remember what it's called, but they would hang the X Division title from that, like the 4 rafters.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been AJ. I don't know. Somebody did like the monkey bar spot before.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. I've just never seen it through a table, man. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I thought that it made a lot of sense for Pac to walk out, and it also made a lot of sense for Don to pull Takeshita out because he saw where it was going. And I mean, again, I think that this sets up for All In again, where I would do Kenny and Takeshita. Actually, no, I would do Kenny and Takeshita at All Out. I wouldn't do that at All In. So I mean, yeah, I think that it made a lot of sense, and then it was also very smart to have Claudio and Mox handcuffed so they couldn't help Yuta, and then obviously Mox taking care of his pupil, knowing that Yuta's lost, throwing in the towel. Like I thought it was really well done. Honestly, it's my favorite Blood and Guts match to date. It's definitely better than any freaking War Games match I've seen. Yeah, I absolutely love this. This was an excellent match. This is again very similar to the tag team title match on Collision last week. I thought this was perfect. I thought it was a blast. So good. It was absolutely incredible. Love the ending though. They walk out and everybody's just like, Yuta, like you're dead, dude. You're so dead. They hit him they hit him with the buckshot lariat, the super kick party. They do. Kenny does the V trigger as well, so they do their old tag team finish when Hangman does the buckshot. They get a bunch of thumbtacks on a boot. Matt changes his boot and puts on a thumbtack boot, and rubbing Yuta's face into it.
I have a photo of that thumbtack Nike shoe. It's a Nike Air 5.0 or maybe a 6.0, something like that. But if you look at it, the thumbtacks are bent on it from his face. Ow.
I saw, like, again, like, I love that that's a staple of the Bucks. Just the the Nikes with thumbtacks.
You know how long it's got to take to super glue every one of those onto the bottom of that shoe?
That honestly sounds like a wife project.
Yeah.
Or Matt's like, I think his wife's name is Dana. She's just like, Dana, I need you to glue a bunch of thumbtacks to my shoe.
And then ship it to me. Go grab one of
Um,
my shoes out of the closet and glue a bunch of thumbtacks to it.
But yeah, this was absolutely incredible. After Dynamite went off the air, Kenny cuts a promo telling the BCC that they respect them, and they all shake hands, and the BCC and the Elite respect each other, and the rivalry is over.
The rivalry is over. So where do you think the BCC goes from here? You think we get a little bit of an internal conflict, maybe? Daniel or Brian Danielson going to be upset with Wheeler for causing them to lose here?
Well, I think Danielson's unfortunately going to be out for a while, a long while. He had to get multiple screws and a steel rod put in his arm. He got surgery on it. So I think he's going to miss All In and All Out, probably.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with a plate in his arm like that, he could come back. He just needs that wound to close.
I guess so. No, I don't think the BCC are going to break up or anything. Again, I do think that Eddie Kingston is the next logical story point for the BCC. I think just in general, Eddie Kingston versus them would be the play, in my opinion.
Yeah. I completely agree. All right, that's it for an excellent episode of Dynamite. What do we have lined up for Rampage?
Pull it up.
Looks like we might have the trios. Oh, that's on Collision. Yeah, what do we got for Rampage?
All right, coming up on Rampage. First up, we have the Royal Rampage. It is the return, the second year in a row of doing this giant 2-ring battle royal. The winner of the match, instead of a world title match, unfortunately, it's a TNT title match. With the title match happening at All Out. And it looks like the contenders or the competitors are Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Big Bill, Gates of Agony, Swerve, Brian Cage, so the whole embassy, Daddy Magic and Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Angelo Parker. Somebody I can't make out in the background. That might be Jake Hager. I'm not sure. I see Matt Sydal, Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Darby, Nick Wayne, Minoru Suzuki, Butcher Blade, and Commander.
Nice. Okay.
We also have the TBS Open Challenge, Chris Statlander versus Marina Shafir. Johnny TV, QT Marshall, and Aaron Solo will be taking on the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. This Saturday on Collision, it's going to be for the AEW Trios titles. The House of Black defending against the Acclaimed. And they say that more matches will be announced for Collision on Rampage on Friday.
Nice. All right. So I guess we will see you guys after Collision on Saturday. You're good for that, right?
I am. I do have to talk to you about next week, though, because fortunately my boss and another manager are out. So, yeah, my schedule is not bueno for next week, but it's just
All good. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right. Well, you want to go ahead and close us out, sir?
All right, well, this has been episode 159 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us in the chat today. Thank you to Coog, Michael Duke, Coach. I think TJ was here earlier, amongst everyone. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging out. Please hit that like button and subscribe on your way out. Follow us on our social medias in the description down below. We will be back Saturday night for our Collision post-show review, and then we'll be back someday next week for the Gamer Room podcast and our Dynamite and Collision reviews next week. I think I pretty much covered it. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys on Saturday.
Right on. Thank you guys very much for joining us here tonight. And as always, top guys out.